Well, hello everyone. ADHD Annie, I'm back here and I am going to talk about how I assembled an IKEA Tarva twin pine bed, and I'm also going to chat about my beef with the baby boomer generation. So, here's for a long one. Anyway, yeah, this bed I purchased for my son from IKEA. And I'm absolutely amazed that I followed all the directions, because I feel like these beds are difficult enough as it is for the neurotypical population. And I followed all the directions on this from start to finish. It did take me 14 hours and consume most of my weekend, but you know what? Like they say, a win is a win. So anyhow, I don't know. My kids were on spring break last week and I was off last week Wednesday. So we went swimming at the Y during the day, and I allowed my kids to bring snacks to the pool or whatever. They made some friends and shared food with the friends. Made sure to throw the trash away and everything else. And then as we're about ready to leave, I went to the girls' locker room to, spin their suits, and because the universal locker room for families didn't have the swimsuit spinner. Anyway, this woman who's a boomer, who doesn't, she's retired, she doesn't work during the day, said to me, "Yeah, you're not allowed to eat snacks in the pool." And I just looked at her and said, "Okay." And she thought that she was doing me this big ass favor, but I definitely did not kiss her ass. I did not fawn upon her. I mean, if anything, the boomers trigger me in so many ways. And this is not an isolated event with what happened last week during spring break. I've just thought long and hard about this, and that was just one example. To me, I don't know. I mean, I'm a single mom. I'm living in the 2020s. The inflation is sky high. And I just think that boomers are retired. They're hogging their real estate. And this whole business of them having all the time in the world to complain about petty stuff when the rest of us are struggling to get by, it's a huge trigger for me. I also, just aside from what's going on in our world today, I do live a chaotic life because I have ADHD, and I just don't have all the time in the world to fixate on whether or not other people, complete strangers, are following pool rules. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. And I think I have a lot of experience dealing with that generation of people. I was raised by two boomers, and I can see why they have a lot of stereotypes directed their way. I feel like they are pretty much the Ken and Karen of their generation, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, I don't know. It just really irks me. And, every generation has its fair share of problems. I just feel like the boomers are a big reason as to why the real estate sucks. And I keep seeing articles that they are hogging the real estate. Both my grandmothers, my late grandmothers, are part of the silent generation. And I feel like the silent generation, the trend was to sell their childhood home, or not their childhood home, but the home that they raised their kids in. They sold once they retired and downsized. That was the trend, and I like that better. But now we're seeing boomers to continue to live in the same home that they raised their kids in, despite being empty nesters. And I don't think that they are solely to blame for why the housing market is a joke. I just feel like, There's just so many people that want to become homeowners or they're aspiring homeowners like myself. And the inventory is low and nothing is favorable, as we all know, for someone that wants to buy a home. And boomers are just not helping the problem, that's for sure. But I think another thing that gets to me is when I started my current job, I did do a lot of the phone calls, and I would just get so many calls from people who were retired, and they would complain about petty stuff. And, here I was in the middle of my own divorce, going through my own fair share of problems, living paycheck to paycheck, and I get calls over matters like, why are there orange cones on such and such project? I mean, to me, it's baffling. I mean, I can only imagine how great things would be if that was the worst of my problems. But clearly, a lot of these boomers who are retired, they are the poster children for the saying that, an idle mind is the devil's playground. So I think that also, too, personally, I did live with my parents for about 14 months. My kids and I moved in with my parents after my divorce, and I was under the impression that my parents, because they retired 2 years before my divorce, and I was under the impression that they were living their best lives. And because I feel like if I'm ever lucky enough to retire someday, that will be my golden years, and I will enjoy and cherish it, and hopefully I'll be lucky enough to have grandkids. Who knows? But what I'm saying is, I think I would be very content and happy. I think that they should be fun and celebrated. And with my parents, I just noticed that they do not have enough to do during the day, but yet they think they're so busy, which is completely laughable. That is like another story for itself, but I don't know. I just got really set off last week when I'm trying to spend spring break with my kids. I took a vacation day to do it. And, there's just so many dippy, retired people that want to get bent out of shape because of, me allowing my kids to have snacks at the pool and share them with other kids. It's ridiculous. But, so new topic. With the IKEA bed, that whole business was, something else. I may or may not have spewed out colorful metaphors in the presence of my little children, which, my grandma always said, little pitchers have big ears. So that, I will say, it was 14 hours well spent, and I know I replaced a bed last month for my daughter. It wasn't the Tarva that I'm working on in this video. It was close to it, but my daughter's bed that was replaced 1 month ago, I enlisted someone from TaskRabbit because I could not figure that out to save my life. And on top of that, I do listen to Dad Challenge podcast daily. And, some of you guys like him, some of you don't. I don't know if I'll be losing subscribers or not, but regardless, he did say something really funny. He said that he and his wife almost got divorced over reading the manual to an IKEA piece of furniture. So I thought that was absolutely epic. And I wonder how many marriages did end from assembling IKEA furniture, because not only, this is certainly not ADHD friendly. I don't even think it's neurotypical friendly. Although Dad Challenge podcast, Josh Barber, I think his name is, he does have ADHD. So yeah, that is no easy feat at all. And there was some of the diagrams were so off, because I do remember these wooden dowels. I don't know. I remember putting them in places thinking that that was what the diagram said, and then I'm putting everything together, and sure enough, those dowels weren't supposed to be there, even though the picture said so. And yeah, the whole thing was so confusing. But the reason I replaced my kids' beds is because they were sleeping on IKEA beds that were 10 plus years old, and they were pre-owned by my parents. My parents had those at their condo, and then they didn't want them anymore. I believe the previous beds that my kids slept on, it was the black hem. Anyway, every single time I moved those beds or I vacuumed them, the bed would come apart, and it really pissed me off. So yeah, these replacements are long overdue. But I don't know. Speaking of the generations, there is another Karen at a different Y that really pisses me off too. I don't think she's a boomer. I think she's a Gen X. And I really don't even know. And I'm a millennial. I don't know enough about the Gen X group of people to even have a conclusion on. I guess with baby boomers, I mean, there's just so many of them that my experiences with that generation of people is less than pleasant. I would say with Gen Xers, I don't know. I know some of you that follow me are Gen Xers, so I got to be careful. But this Gen Xer, Karen, at my kickboxing class is a complete nightmare. I don't know if she's childless or what, but this woman has tattoos on her ankles. They're super ugly, and she really chewed me out about a year ago because I brought my kids to watch me do kickboxing, and she was just so nasty to me. I don't even remember what she said, and I would like to completely delete it from my memory, but anyway, oh yeah, she told me that my kids got to go, and I don't know what her issue is. I don't know anything about this woman, nor do I want to know anything about her because she was overall pretty trashy. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but you know what? We're all entitled to it. I don't like tattoos, and this Karen had these ugly scorpion tattoos on her ankles, and I don't even know what her real name is, but I pretty much told my kids how much I didn't like her, and I just refer to her as ankle tattoo because, I guess she couldn't resort to being classy. She had to ink her flesh. I also can't stand sleeve tattoos. Those things really piss me off to no end. I find it very interesting that the very women and men that I've come across that have these ugly sleeve tattoos are, they've spent over $1,000 to get that, and, they're collecting public assistance. So happy that my taxpayer dollars go to people with sleeve tattoos. But whatever, I have a regular day job, so me losing subscribers over my unpopular belief systems is not going to hurt me, considering the fact that I am not monetized yet. So that's where I'm at. But if you enjoyed this content, let me know what generation you are, and if you agree or disagree with what I have to say. And one of my boomer subscribers, I really do like her a lot, and she watches my content, has some very sweet comments for my videos. Her name is also Anne, just like mine. So if you're watching this, shout out to you. You are one of the boomers that is not on my shit list. So you ought to give yourself a pat on the back. And I do have some ex-coworkers that watch my content who are Gen Xers and also millennials too. Millennials, I just don't think very highly of, even though I'm part of that generation. I feel like there's a lot of things about them that I like and don't like. And then as far as Gen Xers go, I don't know. I don't know what to say about them because I just don't know enough about that generation of people to even form my own conclusion on them. Even though Ankle Tattoo was a Gen Xer, I feel like she's probably one of the few Gen Xers that has really set me off and thrown me into a tizzy in some way or another. But, I think if anything, it's mostly the boomers that I have enough experiences with to form a conclusion on. I know we have the Gen Zers, and I really don't know much I don't know what the conclusion is on that generation either. I do feel for them because, they're in their youth and they're dealing with the horrible inflation era. I'm sure a lot of them might still be living with their parents. Although I'm a millennial and I lived with my parents on and off in my 20s and again at 34 when I went through my divorce. So it's rough. It is definitely rough out there. And I don't know. I bet there's a lot of Gen Zers that are aspiring to own homes as well. My kids are both Gen Alpha, so I just, I don't know what the Gen Zers are going through at this point in time, but I can guess it's probably nothing great or to write home about. And they probably don't have the luxury of hogging all the real estate like the rest of us peons. So basically, if you're a boomer out here and you're listening to this, please consider selling your home or something, because I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. But interestingly enough, you guys, since my kids are alpha, if I'm lucky enough to have grandkids someday, will my grandkids be beta? And it's interesting because before there was a name for my kids' generation, I think the alpha generation is roughly 2010 to the present as far as birth year goes. And, I'm thinking that, because I knew about Gen Z and I was thinking that they would just start all over at the beginning of the alphabet. But it is very interesting how different names are formed for each generation. I think that the Gen X is they're the latchkey kids. And one thing I will say that I like about their child rearing is the fact that, they're the parents that raise them. They don't feel the need to coddle them. And these kids learned a lot of very important skills. And one thing for sure that really upsets me about other millennial moms is that I feel like they coddle their kids too much, and they tend to fall into that helicopter parenting tendency. I'm sure as hell not like that, but a lot of millennial parents are. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's their prerogative. I don't really care, but I feel like I get a lot of mom shaming from millennials, but I also get a lot of mom shaming from the boomers. So I don't know. I would say at the end of the day, it's boomers that hit the record for number of people in that generation that has pissed me off the most. But I'm about ready to be at the end of my video, and this is the part where the 14 hours are almost up. I know I was listening to a bunch of YouTube videos just to, get through the mundane awfulness of putting this together. But you know what? It is for my son Samuel. So Samuel, if you are watching this, you are totally worth it, and you're welcome. So the last part would be the bed slat, and any of you that own IKEA beds, you know that unrolling those bed slats is everything but a walk in the park, you guys. So I'm going to unroll that thing. I don't know. I may have taken the difficulty I think I trimmed that all out, but this is the part where I unroll the bed slat, and I think you guys get the idea. So if you watched me this far, thank you so much for watching this, and I want to thank all of my viewers for your engagement, and I feel very accomplished that I put this bed together, and I'm also ADHD, so hope you enjoyed ADHD Annie's video. Bye!